This is a Rogue Media Network production.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. A few sites say summer in Texas, quite like the magical glow of fireflies dancing through the evening sky. But what many of us don't realize is that these beloved insects are really disappearing in parts of the country. And today we are joined by one of the nation's leading experts on fireflies, Ben Pfeiffer, who is the founder of Firefly Conservation and Research. Now, this is a nonprofit organization dedicated to protecting fireflies through research, education, and habitat conservation. Ben is a sixth-generation Texan, a biologist, a Texas Master Naturalist, beekeeper, and a member of the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Firefly Specialist Group. That's a mouthful. His groundbreaking work is documenting firefly species all across Texas and the Southwest, many of which have never been photographed alive or had their unique flash patterns analyzed and recorded before. I got to meet Ben in Hillsboro, where he did, in fact, identify a very rare firefly species, and then that community has turned it into an event, which is awesome. Ben, it's good to see you again. That was a wonderful evening in Hillsboro where we went to the golf course and we were down in a ravine and we were all looking for the fireflies and having a great time. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good to see you too. Good to see you too, Ann. Yes, that was a magical evening where the town turned out for that evening to go see fireflies on the golf course. Yeah, it was definitely a highlight of my trip up there.
Well, was there a specific moment, Ben, when you realized that fireflies were disappearing and then decided something needed to be done about it?
Yeah, there was. And it's funny how these things happen. For me, it was like a late night drive back from San Antonio to my house in New Braunfels, where I heard this brief little radio clip about firefly decline in this little certain area. And I said, well, what about the rest of the nation? And this was so early in the process. I mean, this was 17 years ago. And that is kind of what sparked the interest in trying to figure out and document this in a much more comprehensive way to let people know about it.
Well, many people, of course, think fondly of fireflies in their childhood and catching them, putting them in the jar and all that. But it's so much more important than that. So why should we care that the numbers are declining?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that's a lot of people are asking that as well. It's kind of another follow-up question to that would be, what would the night be like if we didn't have fireflies? And what would that say about us? And so fireflies are a component of the ecosystem and the nighttime biology that goes on. And if we start to lose those, it's kind of like, what's next? And fireflies do serve a purpose in nature. And so when that goes away, what is the effects of that?
Well, you're also a beekeeper. So, of course, we've heard about how dangerous it is that bee numbers are on the decline.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go to the fireflies, to the basics. Is it really a fly?
It's not a fly. No, it flies in the word, but it's definitely not a fly. I like it. It's a step above that. And so, yeah, they're beetles basically at the end of the day, and they belong to what's called the family Lampyridae. And beetles are in the order Coleoptera, which has around 400,000 species worldwide.
Well, so there are a lot of different fireflies, obviously. And tell me, what was the name of the one that you found in Hillsboro, and why was that so surprising to you?
Yeah, so there's about 180 species in the United States, and in Texas we've got about maybe 45. But the species I found in Hillsborough, actually two species that are kind of note specifically. The first one's called Photinus demissus, the two-step flasher. And then the other one that I discovered actually that night or that weekend I was there was a species called Photurus bill brown eye. And the first one, the two-step flasher, is unique in the fact that it only occupies areas that have really consistent like water. And so these are areas that have like spring flows or rivers or streams that don't really dry up. And so the fact that it was there made it unique because like it just doesn't occur everywhere. Now it occurs from all the way down to San Antonio, all the way up to Oklahoma, but only in areas with really consistent moisture. So that's a treasure. And then the other species is actually related to a firefly that people actually go to see in South Carolina in Congaree that does a synchronizing flash. And so it's basically a sibling species, very related. And the fact that they have them there, both of them, is really quite a treasure.
That's so interesting. So, how many species do you say we have in Texas?
So we've got about 45 species, and that occupies some diurnal types, the flashing types, to ones that just use pheromones. So quite a abundance and diversity of fireflies.
So, is there something just the layman can go, oh, that must be whatever, based on the flash they see, or if it just kind of stays on all the time? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you raise a good point. So the species are going to vary their flash pattern, and so each species is going to have its fairly own distinct flash pattern. And so what we might see as like just one flash, it might be hard for our eyes to discern. For each species, they have their own unique, specific way to flash.
So, the reason for that is what? Is this a mating ritual or something? Are they calling a girlfriend?
Yeah, they basically are. No, males are very desperate, and they're like, they're like, pick me, I'm the biggest, I'm the brightest, right? Like, yeah, my truck's bigger than his, like, and so I'm tall or whatever. So yeah, it's like a super heightened form of like sexual communication, basically. And males are competing for the attention of females, and females are looking for just certain intraspecific variation and certain male flash timing, and so they're looking for different things. And sometimes I like to joke. I'll ask audience, like when I go and talk, I'm like, what do female fireflies like and male fireflies? And so it gets people thinking, and they're like, what would a female like? And so sometimes, I don't know, one time I had this lady in the front, she was like a sense of humor. And so, maybe a female firefly likes a sense of humor in a male. We just don't really know. But they are looking for specific things. And yeah, that's kind of the crux of it.
Well, and you say that, and the reason that area in Hillsborough, near the golf course of all places, which kind of surprised me because I thought, and I don't know anything about their maintenance procedure, but you would think in something like a golf course with the manicured greens and all that kind of stuff, there might be some chemicals and stuff being
Hmm.
used, fertilizers and things that might not be so good for the critters. But
Yeah.
apparently, they're in that sort of a ravine. It's moist a lot of the time, and that's what they like.
Yeah. And it's so here's an interesting thing on why it's been successful there. In order to save money, they haven't invested in a lot of pesticides or insecticides.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah. And so that has contributed to it not causing die-offs for insects in the area. There is a ravine, or you want to call it creek bottom, that does have consistent moisture, and it's not been developed. It's got dark, kind of like mature trees in there. Ephemeral spring flows kind of wash down to that area, and keep it wet for a period of time. And so it's kind of a unique spot. And the creek that we're actually talking about is Pecan Creek.
Okay.
So that's what's unique. And then the other factor that contributes to the habitat there is the raw land that is next to the golf course that the golf course owns. It's never been developed. And that is acting as like a protection for the downstream. So any kind of pollution or anything that washes in from the area is basically going to get filtered in by that landscape and then go into the creek there. And so the fireflies are just not going to get exposed to anything that might like harm them in other degraded habitats. So it's just kind of a neat kind of situation that, and you've probably been as well. You've been to other places like in the state where you go and you'll go to someone's backyard where they developed it on a creek or whatever. And it's kind of a ruined landscape, and this is just not the case with Hillsborough. So it's something to celebrate and share us for sure.
Well, I know they were just thrilled to have found this really unique thing for them to hang their hat on, if you will. But are there some other species that you've been able to find that were really, really exciting to you?
Yeah. So one of the things I do is I kind of document some of the life history of fireflies, and I get to see really cool stuff. Like, you get to go and study fireflies, and you're out in the evenings, and you get to see things that people would pay money to see because it's so spectacular. I have seen some really remarkable things. I've seen there's a species here in Texas that is very, very rare, and I'm the only person that's ever seen it flash. And because it is in the genus Pyractomina, and it was at one time probably more abundant in the area, but it doesn't come out very often, and it's an amber-colored flash. And so I gave it its common name, the amber comet, and so that's pretty spectacular. But we've got other different species that occur in different areas that are really unique, and you can sometimes think about a firefly population as like a fingerprint. So each place that you go to see a firefly like population flashing is slightly unique. They've just got little characteristics, species diversity is mixed. Sometimes they flash a little bit faster. They've been separated for a long periods of time. Populations have, so they've adapted little characteristics. So yeah, there's neat things. There's stuff that I've seen that I haven't ever seen again, or I want to go back and study. Could be new species. You never know.
Well, you described so beautifully, you're being able to see these unique things, but I understand you say there are some species who've never had their pattern documented before. Why is there so much that is unknown about fireflies?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really great question. So why is it so difficult to study fireflies? And one, it's you gotta figure out where they are, and then you have to go out, and sometimes you get unlucky. They could be flashing, they could not be flashing. You've got to get access to places to study them, and that's a difficult one in Texas where most land's private. And so you have to learn to and make connections in order to do that. The other thing too is that with entomologists, a lot of times they just study the morphology of an insect. So that is just like the structure, the coloration, those kind of things. But with fireflies, you actually have to study the flash patterns and the morphology. And so that makes it really challenging in order to study them. And it's one of the things that attracted me because I like that. And I like to get outside in the evenings too. But back to part of your question is like, why is it difficult? It's one, it's access, but also like knowing where to go, and development too. Fireflies have gotten pushed to the margins a bit in a lot of places in Texas. And so it's harder to find robust populations of unique, locally adapted species.
That is so fascinating. We moved from one part of Waco to another, and where we had been a lot of very mature live oak trees, like 300-year-old trees, and had tons of fireflies. We'd probably, I would enjoy watching them. We knew approximately what time in the evening you'd start noticing them. Probably didn't treasure them as much as I even should have then. But then we moved to a relatively newer not one. I've looked, we've not seen one in 6 years. Is
Wow.
there a way to attract fireflies to your community?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the good news is that if you build it, they will come. And especially if you've got fireflies in your neighboring area. And I've seen it a number of times that you can get fireflies to come to your location. Gardeners actually tend to be some of the fireflies' best friends, because the habitats they create for gardens end up being places that fireflies like too. With the rich soil, they attract earthworms and snails and leaf litter, depending upon what they do. And so there's been some emails I've gotten and phone calls over the years where people will be like, well, I was in my garden and all of a sudden I saw these things glowing in a pot and I don't know what they are and what can you help me with? And so I'd help them kind of identify what it was a female firefly that like laid eggs in a pot. And there's some reasons why she did that. A couple of years ago, there was a family up in northern and mid-Atlantic, and they had found some firefly larvae in a pot. And it was this whole thing that they organized around in order to like transfer the firefly to the woods. And they were so amazed, they even named it. They got me involved and I got on the phone. And places that fireflies like, you can create some of those things. On the website that I have at firefly.org, we've got a kind of a build habitat, how to build firefly shelters. And so if people are interested, they can go and get some good tips and strategies in order to kind of build some habitat for them. And, over time, they will come. You'll get a female that will lay some eggs, and that kind of just jumpstarts the whole thing.
Well, I'm optimistic now. We're pretty avid gardeners. We have lots and lots of floral borders and lots of critters, but I didn't see a firefly. So I have hope that can happen. A lot more I want to talk to Ben Pfeiffer about, though, but we're going to take a quick break. I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Universal Windows, where you can transform your home with our premium window door and siding installation services. Universal Windows Direct, Central Texas, makes upgrading your home simple and stress-free. Call Universal Windows Direct, Central Texas today. They are located in Woodway. Stay with us. There is more of the show ahead.
It's the premier charity event of the year, the 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, presented by Ascension Providence. A fun evening filled with great food and drink, dancing, a spectacular auction, and more. This year's theme is Nashville Nights, Neon Lights, and Bullfights. Get your tickets now, donate, or be a sponsor. Help support the American Cancer Society to find a cure. The 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, October 24th at MCC Highlander Ranch. For more information, go to centraltexascattlebaronsball.org.
Earning an online certification is a quick and convenient way to gain industry-recognized credentials. Select your ACLS course. Print your ACLS certificate. You can print your certification wallet card. aclsnow.com.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. I am in a new studio, as you can see. I am in my happy place, and that would be Salado, Texas. You've heard me say that many times. And I'm here with the wonderful Tiffany Schreiner, who is starting something brand new, located here at the Stagecoach Inn in Salado. And it's all kind of around Texas and how Texas has its own rich blend of music and storytelling and history and hometown pride. And it's just wonderful to be here with you to talk about Radio Salado. It's
quite honestly would not be happening without you, Ann.
I'm learning about all this. I really don't see how that could happen. But the man sitting in the corner, I think, is the reason, and that would be Mike Hamilton.
But you introduced us many a time.
I did introduce you to Rogue Media Network.
And you helped him fall in love with Salado. So there's many trajectories here that led us all to this
Okay.
moment.
Well, we're kind of doing two different things because you're going to interview me
Mhm.
and I'm going to interview you.
Mhm.
And hopefully David Hayes, owner
Yes.
of Stagecoach Inn, will join us.
Yes, if
a little bit.
I-35 allows, then he'll
They're
join us.
always tricky. I-35 is, but how did the idea, and first of all, is this a real radio station with the FCC and a frequency?
So it's
and all
moving
that?
in that direction.
Okay.
Currently, we are a digital radio, aka podcast, and we're moving in the direction also of what they call brick and mortar terrestrial radio as well, and with some partners that we hope to announce very soon.
Good.
So, but for now, couldn't be happier. We are situated. Our HQ for Radio Salado, Texas, is here at the historic Stagecoach Inn. One of my happy places within the happy place of Salado. And we're right along the creek banks of the legendary Salado Creek. And I mean, when I brought Corey Digman, who owns Rogue Media, and Mike Hamilton, co-creators of Rogue Media Network, to Salado to meet at Stagecoach for lunch, we were brainstorming where we would like this project to begin. And Corey took one look around Stagecoach and he said, "Why not right here?" I said, "Well, I can ask."
Yeah.
And here we are.
Mm-hmm. And this is a little building that's sort of next door to where you go to the restaurant.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're on the north end of the Stagecoach property, right on the creek banks. We our backyard is the beautiful Serena sculpture and Salado Creek here. Yeah,
It's one of my favorite places, favorite stories about Salado. But driving in, going over the bridge, and the families are playing in the water, and it's just such a wonderful, wonderful place for so many reasons. What kind of inspired you, though, to have this kind of media talking about Salado and talking about music? I know you just interviewed a musician because I could hear him
right.
play.
There's so many aspects to what prompts you to interview anyone. As you know, you've been doing this, for Salado, for Bell County, for Williamson County, forever and ever. You get to interview so many beautiful souls and characters, from historians to authors to philanthropists to just legends of
I think
this
of the
area.
artists I've met here.
Sure. Yes. So we've had, so far on the show, we've had some of our just celebrated sports leaders for Salado. One of them's actually from Waco originally. His name's Coach Jason Schonefelt, and he's going into his second year as Salado's head basketball coach. And these kids just love this man, and he is such a dedicated mentor to them and teaching these varsity players how to become mentors to the younger. And seeing that sort of approach has just been so touching and inspiring to this community. So we got to sit with him and one of his varsity players last week. He brought Griffin Self, whose family is a West Point family, and he aspires to go to West Point. So that interview is just going to be so great. Precious young man. And then, we've got painters, poets, singer-songwriters coming on, and we have you.
Well, you can't keep me away. You cannot keep me away. In fact, I said I built into my time here in Salado a visit to Christie's to see our wonderful friend Christy Goodfellow.
Yep, she's so
Christie's of Salado, and we've got a little shopping to do as well.
I need to go shopping there soon for the show.
Hey, it's like, what's going to look good on camera? Here we go.
I feel like every time we see each other, Christie's is in the conversation.
Yes, it has a little something to do with it. Well, this seems, though, to be such a perfect place to launch this kind of thing because of the music. I know I have Katie Hill on the show all the time with Barrow Brewing and all the wonderful things that are happening.
She's such a dear soul to this community.
Oh, she's just done remarkable things. But music is just so important here.
It is. And is it MACT Music?
The Music Association of Central Texas.
Yeah. So Casey Stanislaw is a dear friend and colleague. He's going to be on the show here with us in a few weeks. And music is growing. We're right in the heart of Texas. We're just 40 miles north of Austin. We are, you hear about sort of like creative vortexes or creative arenas, for example, New York and Broadway, that's an easy one to point to, sort of, and Austin being the live music capital. I really think Salado is it's always been an artist mecca. We have the ruins from the first co-ed liberal arts college, just a stone throw away
Salado College,
south of here, next to the museum. And, with that in mind, it just feels like in today's sort of culture within Salado, it really is drawing more and more of a prismatic array of artists and artisans here. We have glassmakers, potters, singer-songwriters, authors, and it's such a beautiful melding of creativity here. It really is. I think it's a beacon for it.
Mm-hmm. So many people, though, Tiffany. I mean, you're from a historic family, for sure.
Yes.
We've talked many times about your
both sides of my family. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Schreiner, absolutely. How do you find folks to come?
Oh, David Hayes, owner of Stagecoach, dear friend and colleague, he was just asking me the other day. He said, "Hey, Tiff, who we got lined up on the show this week?" And I said, "David, it's not the problem of can we find them. It's about how to manage who and when, because there's so much. It's just such a rich community in terms of creativity and not just in Salado, but the surrounding areas as well. I mean, we really we're on the Chisholm Trail, which also to me is sort of this Legends of Texas Lone Star Trail of creativity. If you start at, let's say, the YO Ranch in Kerr County, which is where I grew up from a very young age. And then we moved to Salado when I was about 10 to be closer to my mom's side of the family. But if you start out there and you in the Texas Hill Country and you wind your way into, let's say, Fredericksburg and Lukenbach, and then into San Marcos and the Whitliff Museum. And as one of our recent guests was talking about, Chuck Harris, a songwriter and playwright, he's talking about Cheatham Street, in San Marcos. And then wind your way a little more northward, you're in Austin, live music, Mecca. And then you wind your way a little more up the Lone Star, Trail, and you hit Georgetown, Texas, where our beloved friend Chet Garner of the Day Tripper resides. And Georgetown, I just read recently, I think it was in the Washington Post, Georgetown is the fastest growing city in America right now.
Considered the most beautiful town square.
Also, yes.
Yes. No, I know. I've done a story there.
I love it. And they've done such a beautiful job while growing. Salado's growing. If you look to Georgetown as a template in that way. But they've also maintained their identity and their most beloved aspects of their artistic community with that town square. And so then, you mosey on up and you hit Salado. And you can keep going, Waco, all the treasures there. But we are just in DFW and Lubbock. And, I just feel so blessed, feel like I'm right in the heart of so much creativity as we launch Radio Salado, Texas. And, again, and I can't say this enough, it would not be happening without the love of and dedication of your work for Central Texas. So thank you so much.
Well, it's been a joy for me. I mean, it has been just a privilege, honestly, to get to visit with folks and to learn about all the wonderful things that are happening in Central Texas, and the folks that see a need and say, yes, I'll do something. And then it becomes this huge, and I kind of see this in you as well, that you have the spark of interest of something. And then I just foresee it's going to become huge, really way bigger than you could imagine.
I think you may be right. I mean, the interest so far is astounding. Tens of thousands of hits on our social media already from one little, impromptu trailer that we shot a couple of weeks ago. And I just, it kind of brings tears to my eyes in terms of how much potential we have to help other creatives in this endeavor and other just dedicated Central Texans and beyond. And like we say here at Radio Salado, from our saddles to the stars.
Well, you have such a way with words. I don't think I know anyone that is better with the language than you are.
Some
I wish
days
a little
better,
of that would rub off on
some
me.
days better. Oh, you've got plenty, my dear. Some days better than most. You know, I think those who speak well don't always write well, and vice versa. I feel like I write better than I speak.
Well, you know, I
But,
think
you know.
about your children's book,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
your wonderful creation. I mean, and I see you could have a whole series of our wonderful cosmic cowgirl.
I hope to. It's in the works, and I just need to either clone myself or finish raising my children.
Yeah, there is that.
Or
You've
some
got-
melding therein.
you have a few other irons in the fire. Besides music, we talked a lot about music. And one thing we didn't mention was, you know, talking about this part of Texas, I love Wahlberg.
I do too.
I love the German
really
restaurant.
Do. I do too. We need to
and
bring
Ronnie
that in.
Tipple. Yeah, oh yeah. And the Wahlberg boys, we got polka music and the whole German influence
Sure.
throughout this part of Texas
Absolutely.
is so important.
Such rich heritage.
Yeah, so important. Well, so what kinds of culture are you wanting to focus on?
You know, for me personally, I'll have to say, I love nothing more than when I see resilience and art come together, and from that lens, courageous creativity. You know, and I've said that on your show, I think before a few years ago, and that keeps coming back home for me. It takes a lot of courage to put your heart out there with creative endeavors. And I will say that the more often you do it, the less hard it gets. For those who may be on the fence about releasing something into the public that they've created, you do have to put on a little coat of armor for that precious heart.
Yeah,
because
thick
as
skin. in
right,
other words,
right.
yeah.
As the fairly well-known artist Taylor Swift has said recently, you know, she really is a tale of courage and resilience. And I just
and really longevity.
Oh,
I mean,
my
she's
gosh.
been around a long time.
amen. And she said recently in a appreciation speech where actually Steven Spielberg introduced her. And he said that he turned to AI and the crowd booed to find out if to figure out if he could learn as to how many songs she'd written. And AI couldn't even tell him because she's written so many.
So many. Wow.
And really he came back home in that speech by saying AI will never replicate true creativity. It can't even begin to harness what Taylor Swift has done. And she went up and she thanked him, and they were all laughing a little bit. Then after his presentation speech, as she was walking up to receive her award, and she said, you know, essentially, and I'm not quoting Taylor Swift, so don't let me get this wrong, but essentially she said, it all comes from tales of heartbreak and how we bind ourselves back together and then can speak to those and see those better who are walking those tales of heartbreak, and how art really bridges that gap between one soul to another, whether it's music, storytelling, theater, glass blowing, you name it, but really melding a community together through art and art history. And so we've got art present and future and past all coming together right in the heart of Texas. And I mean, you know, I asked the question, and I'll be asking you, Anne, at some point, you know, what does it mean to be a true blue Texan to you personally? And you see that coming alive through all of these realms of art across Texas. And I feel like that's such a beautiful thing. It helps continue tradition. It helps our children learn the values that have meant the most to these parts of Texas, for better or worse. And really, I think through art, whatever realm of art you so choose, whether it's a myriad of them or one in particular, it's the tie that binds in so many ways. So how do I choose one person to be on the show? There's so many. It's endless in terms of the creativity that we have here, and the love and devotion within that wild blue spirit of Texas.
All right, a
So,
lot more to talk to
Yeah.
Tiffany Schreiner about, and maybe David.
Yes,
If he
David
comes.
Hayes,
Yeah,
come
we're
on.
we're hoping David will
Up
join us here in a
I-35.
little bit. But want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Alan Samuels. If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, Alan Samuels has the best selection in Central Texas. Clean cars, trucks, and SUVs, every make and model, starting at $14,000. So shop Alan Samuels in Waco, your friend in the car business. Stay with us. There's more of the show ahead.
We're celebrating the Declaration of Deals at Alan Samuels in Waco. Right now, get $13,000 off a new Ram 1500 Lone Star, plus 2.9% for 72 months. Cash in on $13,000 off a new Ram 2500 Laramie Crew Cab, or choose 0% for 36 months, plus no payments for 90 days. Feel secure with America's best full-size truck powertrain 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty at Alan Samuels.
Come by. Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
And we are back with Ben Pfeiffer, and Ben is the founder of Firefly Conservation and Research. And he absolutely is an expert on this amazing, beautiful creature that so many of us treasure from our childhood. What kind of background do you have, though? I mean, did you grow up and always were interested in catching bugs? And did you do a lot of firefly catching when you were a little boy?
I did do some, yeah. In terms of my background, I grew up in South Texas and in the Hill Country, and so my family had a cattle ranch in South Texas near Jordanton, and so we just spent all of our time outside, and was just fascinated with how biology worked. And yeah, we'd see some fireflies occasionally too. I think I was more of an interest in the studying land. And then how everything worked together. And so the ecology of it, the evolution of it. And so when I went to school, I started a biology degree and, really focused on some of those bigger ideas. And fireflies was something that just kind of piqued my interest, and some experiences I had with bioluminescence was really fascinating to me. And so that's kind of the direction I did. But yeah, I've spent, oh man, all my childhood and outside in Texas and a lot of different places. And, so that really formed a love for the area, just a familiarity too.
Well, let's talk a little bit about bioluminescence. My oldest son lives in Florida, and we were able to take a nighttime kayak trip and see bioluminescence in the water, which is, there are only a few places in the world, I understand.
Yeah.
Where that's coming. So fascinating. But is that kind of the same thing that a firefly's doing?
It's similar. Yeah, and that's one of the things that attracted me to it. Just like your son in Florida, I went to Puerto Rico and I got to swim in a bioluminescent lagoon, and that's really what hooked
It's
me.
just amazing. The water just drips down, and it's like, I don't know, this illuminated stuff. I mean, it is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal, and that's really unique, and that's kind of warning away predators, getting disturbed, kind of thing. And yeah, there's similar functions in terms of how those dinoflagellates work, and in different parts of the area. There's plankton that does it, and one time I went to Hong Kong, and the bays there were had some, were lighting up a little bit on the shore. So that's a really unique thing. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of things that actually do bioluminescence in the animal kingdom. So it's a really rare thing. And in the United States, and people were really interested in the difference between fireflies, and then there's actually a bioluminescent click beetle that we have that sometimes people aren't aware of. And the click beetle is sometimes called the headlight-elator, and it's got
I like
these
that name.
Yeah, and it good, and it's kind of makes sense because it's got these two spots on the back of its head that light up, and then sometimes it's lower abdomen will light up too, and it does a constant glow, not really a pulse. And so the question was like, well, these two things flash, are using Lucifer and luciferase. Like, how did they evolve to get to this? Was it a shared ancestor or something like that? So just interesting questions that people were asking about that and how we got there. According to some of the research, and from what I know, is that fireflies originally evolved to use flashing as a way to warn predators and not necessarily as a form of sexual communication. And they actually used pheromones in order to locate mates. So, a male would like smell the air to find a female, kind of sort of thing. And over many millions of years, they gained and lost this ability. And so sometimes they use flashes, sometimes they didn't. There's some rare fireflies in amber that have some light organs, some early ones. So yeah, there's a few things in the world that do this kind of thing.
It is fascinating. I can see why it would really pique your interest. When we were talking about the firefly, though, that you discovered in Hillsborough, I understand the female is really tiny. It's the size of an uncooked grain of rice. I mean, that's little.
Yeah, itty bitty. Small. I had one but you know what's the surprising thing is they're remarkably good climbers. I had one in my house actually a number of years ago, and it got out of the jar multiple times and ended up underneath my refrigerator at one point. And so, yeah, and she's got to be a good climber in order to get through all that leaf litter and stuff, but very small, and they don't have wings, they have like vestigial wings. So they basically have small wings that don't work. And she's really just focused on producing eggs as much as she can. And she's very, very beautiful. The coloration's gorgeous. Looks like kind of a sunset at dusk. And and so the reason why they're like vulnerable, the one in Hillsborough, is because of the females can't move. So like, they can't fly away if a bulldozer's coming or something like that. So that's why they're potentially vulnerable to disruption.
Right. So if someone wants to see more fireflies in the summer, what should they avoid doing in their yards?
Yeah. That's a great topic of discussion, because like if we want to protect the fireflies we have, it's definitely, there's things that we can do in order to do that. One of the things is like from May to August is a really bad time in order to do a lot of like land clearing or earth moving. And so you might want to avoid in areas that have fireflies, like mowing, any type of earth movers, anything that's going to disrupt the topsoil level, because that's where the larvae are. And so, if we can respect that period, then we can protect them for the next generation.
So communities that, they've got commercial units that are out there mowing the roadsides and all that kind of stuff. Is there something, I guess, some way to inform municipalities how to better protect fireflies and other creatures?
Yeah, this is evolving. And there's areas that do want to protect their fireflies. They're just as like, sometimes they're constrained because of the way the cities work.
Yeah.
And the knowledge of the parks departments and stuff like that. And I've worked with a number of cities. I've met with parks people, and we've gone out to habitats. Like, in fact, I just met with some parks people here in New Braunfels who were interested in preserving some fireflies in their area. And, getting with the lawn crews specifically is one of the top ways in order to help this, because they're usually third-party contractors that are contracted by the city to come in. And, if you work for the city or you've got a land that's near a river and you want to preserve fireflies, you need to have conversations with these mowing folks and say, hey, we want to cut back to once a year mowing. And then you can also put up some stakes, like red stakes, for example, or purple, to just say, don't mow past this line. And so that's a great idea. And so having those conversations. Now, I will mention one of the reasons why they mow so much is because people complain that it gets long. And so there's that side. And so a lot of times they're mowing the lawns because people don't want it long. And then you've got the folks that want it long because they want the fireflies. And so it's a decision of, we need to protect these areas because they have things that are beneficial for pollinators and fireflies and other stuff. But yeah, we'll restrain our mowing to pass and stuff like that to keep it natural.
Are there certain kind of plants that gardeners maybe should look at? I know we plant certain things for the hummingbirds and the pollinators. Are they virtually the same things? Are there other particular plants that fireflies really like?
Yeah, so they like grasses.
Okay.
And the kind of top grass is Eastern gamma grass, but that's not something that everybody can grow in their yard. So one of the next best ones is like inland sea oats, is a really great grass that has kind of wide leaves. It creates helps retain some of the moisture there. And ideally what you're trying to do is you're trying to plant plants that are native to your area, that are going to retain soil moisture, create leaf litter, and provide habitat for larvae. And so you can plant a lot of variety of different things to accomplish that. Grasses just work great because they go up a little bit taller and they branch out. And then fireflies can fit in between those blades there of grass to prevent desiccation. And it's really interesting. Like this weekend, I was in Fredericksburg doing a firefly walk and a talk, and we went down right to this creek, Live Oak Creek, and there's this Eastern gamma grass, and right at the perfect time,
right on cue, huh?
Yeah, right on cue. They come out from the base of those grass plants and then climb up the stem and then sit there and start flashing, kind of like revving their engines, ready to fly. And that just speaks to the value of the habitat, what that's providing there. And so, yeah, there's we've got a guide on the website that has some list of plants that are great for fireflies.
What's a lifespan of a firefly?
So it's surprisingly longer than you think, but as adults, pretty shorter than you think. So adults really only live for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. So not very long, but the larvae live for about a year to 2 years.
So that's why not disturbing their habitat is so important.
Yeah, it's because the larvae take so long in order to develop. Now, in really bad drought years, that can get extended because they're just going to be in kind of hibernation until the right conditions. So it could take longer. That's why there's some of those really rare species that, I've seen maybe, but nobody else has kind of seen that. I mean, it could be 3 years before, it really pupates or longer. And a lot of it, we just don't really know. We don't really know how long it takes for some of them, but they're not going to come out in the blazing hot summer when there's no moisture. It doesn't make much sense for them to do that.
Right. So it's kind of a little bit seasonal from that standpoint. Well, I think meteorologically, we're going into a El Nino, which could mean wetter, I think.
Yeah, I've heard wetter and hotter.
So do all fireflies flash? You may have already answered this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so not all fireflies flash. So some just use pheromones. And there's some species we have here in Texas. Pleiotomus pallens, for example, is one that's got very neat antenna, it looked like little eyebrows on the top of their head. And when they pupate, males do, they glow for the first 30 minutes or so, and then they don't ever glow again. And then they go and they look for females, basically, that crawl along the ground that do glow, actually. And so those are kind of ones like that. We've got some diurnal species in certain spots. Up in the Northeast, they have Luciodata atra, which is the woodland lucies, which is like a firefly that occurs during the day. You'll find it on a leaf when you hike in the forest. And we don't really have those here, but we do have some diurnal species that occur in East Texas, for example, that will just use pheromones. So yeah, there's a variety of different types here, and we got all the kinds essentially.
Are there common misconceptions people have about fireflies?
Yeah. Well, we've established that they're not flies, so that's a good.
Well, there you have that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of misconceptions, yeah, they not a ton. I'd say what a lot of people don't know is that fireflies are actually poisonous. And a kid asked me actually this weekend. He said, "Are they poisonous? To like the touch, or are they poisonous if you like ingest them or whatever?" And I said, "Oh, well, they're not poisonous to the touch. Like you can touch them and be completely fine, but you wouldn't want to ingest them or something." And so he was asking about like his dog coming across a firefly. So yeah, so fireflies are a little poisonous, and that's why most things won't eat them, because they have compounds that make them inedible and very distasteful, basically, to other creatures.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you said, that's kind of their warning to predators, and if the predator knows that is not going to be very good to eat, then that's
Right.
it. That works well. Are there some species that are really at risk of disappearing that you're concerned about?
Yeah. So I'll tell a little story. Monahan Sand Dunes. Have you ever been there, Anne?
I've heard of it.
Okay, it's near Midland.
Uh-huh.
It's the dunes, and some people have, maybe that's listening on the show, have been there to go, and you'll go get a can lid from a garbage can or something and slide down the sand dunes.
Oh, yeah. Like slicker sliding
Yeah.
in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really fun to do that. But there's a firefly that occurred there actually, and we think that it's probably no longer there anymore. It hasn't been seen since the 70s.
Oh.
And a male and female were caught there, and that since then it just hasn't been seen. Now I bring this up because this is a little bit of a story in terms of like what kind of species are threatened, and so that's one that functionally is kind of extinct at this point, and that it used to occur there in that sand dunes. There's springs that occur in the sand dunes, and there's these wet seeps.
Oh.
And what's happened is in the last basically 15 years, there's been a lot of water pumping, and for agriculture, but also for oil and gas. And so that the water table is like shrunk, and those seeps basically aren't there as much anymore. And so its habitat is so small. I mean, if somebody really did it, this would be, they found it again, this would be classified as probably a federally endangered species in Texas, because its habitat is so like specific. But so that's one of the things like that of a species that's very, very rare. The ones that found in Hillsborough, while it's there across a wide range, it's very restricted, and it's vulnerable to certain spots. There's a species called the amber comet that I just talked about. I'd seen its flash. It's very rare, and it's only known from 2 counties. And if we know it's there, I haven't personally found a live specimen yet. I've seen some photos someone took that could possibly be it. And, that's something that's like super, super rare. And we just, if we had more information, we could figure out a little bit better ways to protect it.
Well, as you said that night when we were all together, you said you can forget trying to take a picture on your iPhone. It's very hard to photograph them. And same way with the bioluminescence when we were on our kite. It was like, just forget trying to, I don't know why, it was very, very hard to photograph it. Are there ways, though, that people can become more involved and try to help preserve fireflies?
Yeah, so if you want to help fireflies, this is a noble cause, because firefly habitat also impacts a lot of other unique species that are vital to a healthy river and a healthy stream. And when we've got clean water, we're a healthy population in the state of Texas. And so one of the ways you can do that is certifying your habitat. The Firefly Conservation Research started the first of its kind certification program. And so it's self-directed. We provide support, we ask you some questions to certify your habitat, what kind of features you have, and maybe like some of the practice that you're doing if you do have fireflies. So on firefly.org, you can certify your habitat. So that's great. The other thing is you can build habitat, and you can do that a variety of ways that I mentioned earlier. You can talk to your neighbors. You can help reduce light pollution in your area. You can advocate to your city council to, help with like implement some better dark sky policies. That's also very helpful. You can plant native plants and to help like encourage fireflies in your area. And then one thing that's like people are rallying around is they're identifying areas on their own. So, they're saying, hey, this park has fireflies and I like them. How can I like work to protect what's here? And then, so I'd encourage you, to call your Parks and Recs department, city council person, get involved with some local chapters, and to try to see what you can do to help protect those areas. The other way is that you can actually report your sightings. So iNaturalist and then Firefly Atlas is also really great. Firefly Atlas is a project that's run by the Xerxes Society, and they are tracking fireflies across the United States. This was something that came out of the Boston Museum of Science Legacy project, where they did a firefly watch. And what this is doing is that they have an actual like guide, basically, that sheet that you can print out or use on your phone, that you can just check different things off. Like, this is what I saw. This is what it looks like, and they'll tell you how to photograph it. So that's good for firefly researchers, so that when we go and we're looking for an area and we're trying to do an extinction risk assessment or something, we can say, well, according to the Atlas, we've gotten XXX number of like sightings. And so, this will help inform us about the overall population number, more of a census count. So those are things that are helpful.
Certainly knowledge is so important. And you've done so much, Ben, to contribute to our knowledge about fireflies and appreciation of this most beautiful creature.
Well, thank you, Ann. Yes, I'm working hard to do so.
Well, and of course, your work just reminds us how the smallest creature can tell us something really important about the health of our environment. And you've got great ideas of how to help ensure that in the future. I can't thank you enough for your time today. Thank you, Ben. And again, how can folks get in touch with you? And you do like nature walks and things for groups?
I do talks, and I present to a lot of chapters in person and over Zoom, and I do several firefly walks. I just did one in Fredericksburg this past weekend. I do one every year in Shirts. Actually, it's a kind of a kid-focused event, and so there's a list of my speaking engagements on my website, and you can go and look at there. A lot of them are public. I did one at San Antonio Botanical Garden this spring. Done some in Austin. I'll be in Waco this October, actually, and I'll be speaking at the Master Naturalist Conference there. And so people can go and join and see that if they'd like. But yeah, they can reach out to me at firefly.org. And yeah, the other contact information is on the website.
Well, it's all so fascinating. And again, we're in your debt for spending some time with us today on the show.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Ann, for having me. It was great to talk with you.
I look forward to meeting you in person in October. How's that?
Yes, me too.
Very good. Well, stay with us. There is more of the show ahead.
Waco celebrates America's 250th anniversary party on July 3rd. Join us for live music all night, amazing food, drinks, spirits, vendors, and incredible art. Grab your lawn chair, bring your friends, and bring your holiday appetite. This patriotic celebration is where the party starts. Fun, flavor, music, and festival vibes all in one place. Don't miss this. We'll see you at the Art Center on July 3rd. Go to artcenterwaco.org and then events.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
I had a panic moment running my hands through my hair, and that's when I found Keeps. Keeps gave me the results that I was really looking for.
I definitely felt a lot more confident once I saw my hair coming back.
Keeps has given me the control of my hair back.
Get your first month free at Keeps.com.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
This is a Rogue Media Network production.